If you're here, you probably are already worried about being good this holiday season. A lot of women think the answer is willpower or skipping carbs and sugar altogether, and that they'll start fresh in January. But that approach is actually what leads to overeating, the sugar crashes, and the bloating and that guilt spiral that does end up resulting in an extra 5 to 10 pounds in January that we so urgently feel like we need to work off. And that cycle just repeats over and over and over again. But I'm gonna teach you the exact approach that I share with my clients to actually feel good throughout the holiday season, both emotionally and physically. Before we get into it, I'm Christy. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I help women navigate perimenopause. And as a fellow perimenopausal woman myself, I am on the earlier end of perimenopause. These are the exact strategies that I use myself. Today, I'm going to give you 7 simple and practical shifts that let you not only enjoy the holiday season, but also feel good in your body. Before we get into the shifts, I want to explain why the traditional dieting and restriction around the holiday season totally backfires, especially during perimenopause. A lot of women, including myself for years, go into this season thinking, okay, I'll be really good this year. I will eat less. I'll avoid carbs. I'll try to have more willpower this year. But here's what actually happens. When you skip meals or try to save up your calories, your blood sugar drops too low. And when your blood sugar crashes, your body goes into survival mode and completely throws everything else out of whack. Your cravings increase, your irritability goes up, your stress hormones rise, and your brain becomes laser focused on fast energy. And do you know what that is? Sugar. So this isn't about lack of discipline. This is about your biology and your body doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And in perimenopause, those swings hit even harder. Your body becomes more sensitive to those changes in blood sugar, and cortisol plays an even bigger role in how you feel day to day. So the more you restrict, the more your body pushes back with things like cravings, overeating, and that out of control feeling that oftentimes happens in the afternoon or evening. And there's also a very emotional side of the restriction cycle. You avoid the holiday foods you love, you finally give in, and then you feel like you failed, which often leads to guilt, shame, and you guessed it, more overeating. Are you familiar with this cycle? Let me know in the comments. I know it's something that I struggled with for years. So when I talk about these shifts, we're not trying to diet and restrict ourselves through the holidays. What we're trying to do is support our physiology so we can work with our body rather than against it. And this can actually help you enjoy the holiday season without the crash, without the guilt, and without the all or nothing spiral. Once women and myself and many of my clients realized that restriction was actually the cause of the problem, not their lack of willpower, everything became so much easier. All right, let's get into those shifts. Shift number 1 is the simplest place to start, and I'm telling you, it makes such a huge difference in how you feel throughout your entire day, especially during the holidays when we're surrounded by indulgences and treats galore. And that is to eat a protein-rich breakfast. And I know, again, at this time of year, a lot of women tend to maybe eat a little bit less for breakfast or skip breakfast altogether in hopes of saving up those calories for some of the more indulgent things later on in the day. But again, that strategy always backfires, especially in perimenopause. Skipping breakfast makes your blood sugar dip, and it starts the day so much less stable. That means that your body is absolutely primed for cravings and that insatiable desire for sugar. That means your stress hormones are also higher, and your mood is generally more fragile. And by the time the afternoon or the evening rolls around, it feels almost impossible to make supportive choices. And that's not a willpower problem, that's a blood sugar problem. So a protein-rich breakfast, and I'm talking at least 30 grams of protein, and especially on days where I know that I'm gonna be eating heavier holiday meals or I'm going to be around a lot of treats, that is when I bump that number up even more and I try to eat 40, even 50 grams of protein for breakfast. This helps to stabilize your blood sugar first thing in the morning. It reduces your cravings later on in the day. It keeps your energy steady, and it dramatically cuts down on that urge to give in to some of those more indulgent sweet treats later on in the day. And this doesn't have to be complicated. Protein doesn't need to be complicated. Certainly we think that eggs are really our only high protein option, but there are so many other options. And in fact, my favorite tip for breakfast is using leftover proteins from the dinner the night before. Shredded chicken, ground meat, sliced turkey, whatever it is. And if you feel like that isn't breakfasty enough for you, put an egg on top. Other great combinations are Greek yogurt or a cottage cheese bowl, even doing a smoothie. I'm not against a smoothie for one of your meals of the day, packing it with high quality protein powder, but then also chia seeds, flax seeds, berries. You're also loading in lots of nutrients and fiber that also will help sustain your energy throughout the day. Breakfast can be anything. We don't need to be so limited. What matters is that you start your day with protein, so your metabolism and your hormones aren't playing catch up for the rest of the day. We want to set ourselves up for success. So if you do nothing else this holiday season, please don't skip breakfast. Your blood sugar, your cravings, and honestly, your mood will thank you for it. Hey, if this was helpful for you at all, I would love it if you would hit like, subscribe, or share it with a friend. It helps more women find this type of information during this very confusing life stage. Thank you. The next shift is one of my favorites of all time, and this is to clothe your carbs. And what that really means is don't eat your carbs naked. So making sure that anytime you are having a carbohydrate, you are pairing it properly with protein first and foremost, and fiber as a bonus. This really helps slow the glucose release into your bloodstream. So instead of your blood sugar going like this, your blood sugar goes like this, and that means that there is less of a crash rather than an up and a down. The crashes are where we do not feel good. That's where it increases our irritability, it increases our cravings, it causes headaches, it causes energy crashes, it causes all sorts of other problems. We want to make sure that our blood sugar looks like this after a meal rather than this after a meal. And again, so many women avoid carbs altogether during the holidays, but that's simply not necessary. The goal is to be more strategic with your carbohydrate. Carbohydrates, as a little refresher, are anything starchy, so those are things like your breads, grains, potatoes, and anything sugary. Even fruits fall into that category, although some of them don't spike your blood sugar as much as others. And then, of course, sugar. Anything that is refined sugar that we find all over the place during the holidays, chocolates, cookies, cakes, pies, those all fall under the sugar category. Rather than eating any of those on their own, we always want to make sure that we are pairing it with a protein first and a fiber as an extra added bonus to help slow that glucose release into the bloodstream. The next way to eat your carbohydrates a little bit more strategically is to pay attention to the order in which you eat them. You always want to eat your protein and your fiber first before digging into those carbohydrates. For example, let's say your plate has a couple slices of turkey, it has some green beans, and it has some potatoes. That doesn't mean you need to eat the entire serving of the protein or fiber, but eat a little bit of it. So maybe a slice or two of turkey, a couple bites of the green beans, and then dig into those potatoes. And that helps slow the release of glucose into your bloodstream. And the same goes for desserts. Try to avoid eating desserts on an empty stomach as much as you possibly can. Have some protein first, even a few bites, and you'll be shocked by how much steadier your energy and your cravings are after eating it. Again, this isn't about restriction, this is about working with your physiology to support your body to better handle them. When you clothe your carbs, you get to enjoy the foods that you love without the shakiness and the crash and that guilt spiral. It's one of the easiest ways to be able to enjoy holiday food and feel really good in your body at the same time. The next shift is no surprise, and it's to hydrate. And I know that sounds almost too simple, but dehydration is one of the largest drivers also of cravings and energy crashes. So many women walk around mildly dehydrated without even realizing it. And dehydration can also make your blood sugar more unstable, which means that it can increase headaches, it can increase cravings, and make you feel hungrier than you actually are. Your body needs water to regulate your metabolism, to support digestion, and to keep your energy stable throughout the day, especially when you're eating foods that might be a little bit more rich than what your body is used to. A good rule of thumb is to drink consistently throughout the day. It's not that you're waiting to drink it all in the evening, which then will make us have to pee in the middle of the night. And you're drinking half your body weight in fluid ounces. What that means is you take the number of pounds that you are and you divide that in half, and that is the number of fluid ounces to drink. For example, somebody who is 150 pounds should generally aim for 75 ounces of water. And of course, that varies by person, but it's a really great place to start. And then when it comes to alcohol, that number needs to go up. I'm not here to tell you not to drink during the holidays. That is 100% your decision. We know that alcohol isn't good for us, but we also know that sometimes it is a part of a celebration, or there's a yummy cocktail that you want to enjoy. And this season is about relaxing and enjoying yourself a little bit, but we can also support our body through it too. So that's why I typically recommend drinking at least a glass of water between every serving of alcohol that you have. And not only does this help your body process the alcohol, but it also helps regulate how much you're drinking without having to rely so much on willpower. And ultimately, when we are not drinking too much, especially later in the day, then alcohol doesn't affect our sleep as much. Shift number 4 might sound like it's super easy, but it's one of the most powerful things you can do before you eat to help support your digestion. And that is to take 3 big, deep belly breaths before eating. Most women don't realize that we spend most of the day in this very rushed fight or flight state, especially during the holidays. Running from event to event, a to-do list a mile long, juggling family events, obligations, and emotions, and all of this keeps us in that fight or flight state. But the important consideration here is that your body cannot digest food well when it is in that stressed fight or flight state. When you're in that sympathetic state, even low-grade stress, it diverts blood flow and attention away from your digestive tract. This means that your digestion slows down and it is not as powerful, which means that it's not able to break down your food quite as well. And that can cause not only blood sugar issues, but that can also cause bloating and indigestion. Just 3 deep, slow, intentional breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth, and feeling your diaphragm and your rib cage expand with every inhale is a great way to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest nervous system. This turns digestive enzymes on, this helps support your stomach acid production, and that then helps break down your food. It also helps lower cortisol, which helps you a bit more mindful about your food choices and making more supportive choices rather than stress-driven choices, which is sugar. So you don't need a meditation cushion or anything. This can be really simple. You can do it at the dinner table with the family. You can do it at the counter. You can do it in the car before you walk into the house. It's such a small practice, but it is super powerful when it comes to how your body responds to food. Not just physically, but also emotionally too. The next shift, which is one of my favorites, it is to use your sugar strategically. And what that means is pairing any excess sugar intake with movement. And I want to be 100% clear here. This is not meaning that you are earning your food or you are burning your food. It's about using movement to help your body handle sugar in a more supportive way. Can you eat a cookie and not do these things? Absolutely, you can. But if you're anything like me and you want to indulge a little bit more in some of these sugary treats without having it make you feel like garbage after, here are a couple little hacks to try. So the first tip is to walk after your meals. Even 2 to 5 minutes of walking is beneficial. 10 minutes even better, but doing some sort of low impact movement is a really great way to be able to shuttle all of that glucose into your muscle cells. Anytime that your muscles are starting to contract, cells open up and welcome glucose into the muscles rather than having it stay in your blood, which is where it starts to increase your blood glucose levels and cause other problems. It makes your muscles act almost like a sponge, soaking up that sugar and using it for energy, which then keeps your blood sugar more stable. Walking is also a great low intensity, low stress type of movement that you can do that also helps to support digestion. So you're really hitting 2 birds with 1 stone here. The other strategy that you can use that sometimes I like to use if I know that there's going to be a day where I'm probably going to indulge in more sugar than I normally do. Those are the days where I will plan my strength training. Similar to walking, where your muscles are being used, when you are doing any bit of resistance activity, it increases your insulin sensitivity. Again, your muscles open up these little doors that say, sugar, come in here. We need to replenish our glucose storage. Sometimes what I like to do is my first meal after strength training, I'll eat a solid meal with a lot of protein, of course, but then that's where I'll also maybe add an extra treat in there during the holidays. Rather than waiting later on in the day, I will eat it closer to my workout. That's using the treat to help me reach my goals and refuel the muscle and help with the repair of the muscle, which helps it rebuild and grow back stronger. None of this is saying that you have to lift weights or move before you eat or that you have to move after you eat. This is simply just giving you some strategies to be able to use. So if sweets are important to you, you can enjoy them in a way that actually works with your physiology rather than against it and doesn't make you feel so terrible after having a cookie or two. The next shift is one that people aren't so excited about, and that is to prioritize your sleep. This actually might be one of the most important pieces during the holidays, especially if you're one who doesn't want to end up with those extra 5 to 10 pounds. We talk so much about food and exercise being important when it comes to supporting your health, but sleep is one of the biggest regulators of your hormones, your metabolism, and your cravings. And when sleep falls apart, everything gets harder. The research is really clear on this. Even after one single night of poor sleep, your insulin sensitivity is reduced, meaning that your muscles are less likely to open up and welcome that sugar in. And that causes problems because that then keeps too much sugar in your bloodstream, which is what causes more of those inflammatory and unwelcomed symptoms, increases cravings, crashes energy, etc. We want our body to be very insulin sensitive. So anything that works against it is something that is not going to help us feel good. And after one poor night of sleep, it increases ghrelin. Ghrelin is your hunger hormone. So it's going to make you more hungry. It's going to make you want more of the quick energy, which again is sugar. It makes it so much more difficult to make supportive choices for your body when your ghrelin is so much higher. It can increase by 20 to 30% by just one night of poor sleep. And the other issue is that it also decreases leptin. Leptin is your satiety hormone. It's the hormone that tells you to stop eating when your body is feeling full or it's feeling satisfied. We want that to be higher because it helps give us more mindfulness of how much we're actually eating. When it's low, it makes it very difficult for us to know when to stop eating. This is why after a night of poor sleep or you didn't get enough sleep, why your sugar cravings may feel off the charts. It's not lack of willpower, it's physiology. And the little thing to keep in mind there when it comes to sleep, I know this age range, sleep is already so difficult. So big things in the holidays that affect your sleep is your routine getting off. That means your circadian rhythm is off. Your bedtime routine is off. Another is alcohol. Alcohol is disastrous for our sleep. It may help us fall asleep faster, but it completely messes with REM sleep, which is why you might wake up at 2 to 3 in the morning and feel wide awake with your heart racing. And then the other piece that really affects it is eating heavy, rich meals too close to bedtime. When your digestion is working to try to process this food and break it down, that keeps your metabolism up. But when it's bedtime, that's not a good thing. You want your body to start to shut down to allow for that deep sleep, deep rest and repair. You don't need to have perfect sleep. I know that's just simply not possible, but throughout this holiday, be a little bit more cognizant of your sleep and prioritizing it a little bit more, focusing on a really peaceful bedtime routine. This season is cozy and lean into that. Giving yourself a bedtime routine that feels really good and tells your body it's time to start to wind down, which will help set your sleep up for success. And the last shift, which honestly holds all the other ones together, is to ditch the all or nothing mindset. Because the truth is that it's usually not the food that derails most women during this season. It's the guilt. It's the shame. It's the I blew it, so what's the point mentality. And that causes a spiral after that can be completely detrimental to how you feel the rest of the holiday season. When you're stuck in that all or nothing mindset, everything becomes a pass or a fail, a good or a completely off track. You're either eating perfectly or you're eating everything. But your body, especially in perimenopause, does not need perfection. Perfection is impossible. What your body needs is consistency and support. One cookie does not ruin your day. A slice of pie at a party does not completely reset your progress. But the shame that follows those things does. That can push you into the restrict, crave, binge, repeat. And that feels like garbage. So I want you to try something different this year. Instead of judging yourself, get curious. Think back to, why did I make that decision? Oh, it was because I had a horrible night of sleep the night before. Or it was because I was really stressed earlier that day. And instead of restricting, work with your body rather than against it. And instead of starting over on Monday or starting over on January 1st, make the next supportive choice that is available to you. That could be within your meal, make the best supportive choice, or the next meal, make the best supportive choice, or start that bedtime routine on time. The goal isn't isn't to avoid holiday food. The goal is to enjoy it without feeling like your body's paying for it. When you drop that all or nothing mindset, you create space for balance, for enjoyment, for trust in your body, and for a holiday season that actually feels good both physically and emotionally. You don't need perfection to feel better. You need small, supportive choices repeated over and over and over again. Did any of these shifts hit home for you? Or are there any that you're gonna try this holiday season? Let me know in the comments. I always love to hear where you're at. All right, you got this, and I'm here with you every step of the way. And I wish you a very wonderful, happy, and healthy holiday season.